You've tried it all, read the self-improvement books, watched the online courses, listened to every leadership podcast, and you've tried all their strategies and roadmaps, and yet you find yourself slipping back into those same old patterns of lust, pride, anger, and addiction. You feel like Paul in Romans 7, verses 15 and 18, where he says, "For I do not understand my own action, for I do not do what I want, but I do the very thing I hate. Now, if I do what I do not want, I agree with the law. That is good. So now it is no longer I who do it, but sin that dwells in me. For I know that nothing good dwells in me, that is in my flesh. For I have the desire to do what is right, but not the ability to carry it out." So why is it so hard to break free? Well, stick around because I want to give you the practical 5 steps to find freedom today. Today, I want to share with you how to quit your bad habits, temptations, or addictions for good, using a simple 5-step framework that's backed by both psychology and biblical principles, ready to do the deep inner work and find your freedom. All right, let's dive in. So step 1, it starts with recognizing the root cause. Did you know that the problem isn't really the problem? Porn, drugs, alcohol, sleeping around, these aren't the real issues. Most of the time, they're symptoms to a deeper emotional wound or childhood trauma from your past. How do you recognize this? This first step is you got to ask yourself these questions. What thoughts go through your mind before you act on this bad habit, temptation, or addiction? What emotions do you feel when you think about not acting on them? What triggers your desire to engage in these habits? Have you noticed any patterns or reoccurring themes when you lean into this? How does this habit misalign with God's purpose for your life? And then step 2, it's time to reorganize how we think about it. Now, let's shift how you view this habit to better face it and break those cycles once and for all. Oftentimes, you experience feelings of unmet emotional needs, a lack of unconditional love, or the need to find validation based on performance, based on how you can achieve and show up and help others. This drives you into using things to numb and cope with these emotions and feelings. So you lean into habits like lust or pornography or alcohol or drugs. To reorganize your perspective, you got to ask yourself these questions. How would you view this habit if you were an observer watching someone else do it? What advice would you give them? How can you change your mental image of your habit to make it less appealing or powerful, visualizing it smaller or dimmer? Step 3, rediscover. Rediscover who you are, who God says you are. When you find yourself reaching for these habits, these vices, these addictions, lust and drugs, remind yourself, I am loved for who I am, not what I do. I am enough. Then engage in something positive that keeps you from relapsing. And here are some questions to further investigate this and solidify and reveal this discovery of who you are. How does understanding your identity as a beloved child of God reshape your view of this habit? How can surrendering this habit or vice to God help you align more closely with His will and purpose for your life? And then step 4, it's time to rebuild. Rebuild and reinforce your new identity with affirmations and daily self-reflection by asking yourself, what practical actions can you take daily to avoid, replace triggers, and minimize temptation? How can you implement a structured routine and rhythm to support your new habit? What positive emotional states can you anchor to stay motivated and focused on your goals? How can you reframe setbacks as learning opportunities rather than failures? What empowering beliefs can you adopt to support your new lifestyle? How can you embrace God's grace to forgive yourself during this rebuilding process? And then step 5, it's time to refine. Once you've started going through these other 4 steps and you've gotten to a space where you're really starting to see some freedom, this is when a lot of people just go back to life as it was. This is when a lot of people relapse, so don't miss this step 5 of refinement. This is the time to stay on guard and continue to refine. This is where community and coaching is vital. Whether that's your local community that you're a part of, or joining the Better Than Best Academy community we have on this YouTube channel, or getting some coaching from me, all these are important and a vital part of this whole process. So here are some questions to ponder and consider on your own self-reflection. How can you routinely review and refine the positive changes you've made in your thinking and behavior? What potential challenges or triggers do you foresee? And how can you be prepared to handle them? How can you practice self-compassion and avoid negative self-talk if you do counter those setbacks and relapse? How can you reward yourself for maintaining the new habit and making progress? How can you recognize and interrupt any old patterns of thinking or behavior before they lead to a relapse? What new empowering routines can you establish to replace the old harmful ones? How can you stay connected to your community that supports your journey and holds you accountable, hold you to your word? How can you use your experience to serve others and fulfill God's purpose for your life? I love this one because it's amazing how we get into these places and these cycles of battling these things. When we're able to shift our focus off of ourselves and onto helping others, it's amazing what results we will see in our own life. And then, in what way can you seek God's guidance daily to stay aligned with His will for your life and avoid stepping back into those old habits? Men, breaking free from bad habits isn't easy, but with these steps backed by psychology and biblical principles, you can find true freedom today. If you find this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, share it with someone who might need it as well, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell because you don't want to miss as I am posting videos every day this month and even into the future. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow for day 24 of the July Creator Challenge.